The Jackrabbits had two big losses on the defensive line. We've talked about them a little bit here. Reece Winkleman and Caleb Sanders. Sanders is in camp with the New York Giants right now. But who can kind of step in for these guys? Who are you looking at?
A lot of guys. Because, part of the reason those two were so successful is because the Jacks didn't ask them to be on the field for every down. We've seen over the years how much better that defensive line got by stretching out that rotation to 6, 8, sometimes even 10 guys. And when you play that many guys, you can stay fresh and you can be a lot more productive. So a lot of those guys that have been part of that rotation are still going to be back. You've got Cade Tervier, Ryan Van Merrill, Quentin Hicks. But then you talk about bringing in some transfers. Blake Peterson's one everyone obviously has their eyes on. I didn't get a chance to see him play much at Iowa State, but he played there. He wasn't like their dude, but he wasn't on the bench either. He got some reps in the Big 12 and did some damage. It'll be really interesting to see what he can do at the FCS level because he wants to play pro football. And he talked about part of the reason he came to South Dakota State is he feels like he'll have a chance to have a bigger role, make an impact. He could really be a terror on the edge there and really have a big impact on that defense. So if they can emulate the same kind of thing they've done the last couple of years and have that big rotation, I think they're going to be just as good.
Dawson Ripperda from Larchwood, Iowa is another guy that is coming back from a year at Northern Illinois that's kind of going to be in that rotation as well. Offensively, Mark Gronowski is back. The Yankees are back. Zach Hines and Mike Morgan and everybody's back throwing the football. But the Jacks ran the ball more than they threw it last year for good reason. Here's Robbie Rouse again.
We have a lot of big guys up front, and they do a great job, and Coach Olsen does a great job with them. And it's just, that's how you win games. It's kind of changed, just this new generation of football. Everybody like to chuck it around, but, the game is, and that's just what this conference is built on. The conference is built on smash mouth football, physicality, being physical, and being able to run the ball down people's throats. Isaiah's special. Special kid. One thing I noticed, about him is just his attention to detail in everything he does. He attacks the field, the weight room, the training room, all the same. He understands, how important how important the game is, and not only just, on the field, but off the field as well. So, he's been, awesome to get a chance to know him. I've been watching him for the past few years, but now to be able to work with him, there's no surprise to the success that he's had up to this point. But, Amar's special as well. You guys kind of got a dose of him towards the end of the season. His main thing was just kind of putting together a whole plethora of a season, and he attacked the offseason like no other. He's had a great, last few months. His weight is good. He's running. So really excited to see him, just that 1-2 punch. It was, I actually was watching the semis and national championship, and it's dangerous when them two is on the field and they could just kind of bounce off each other and just create a friendly competition. It's awesome, and it's good problems for us to have as coaches.
Zimmy, it's literally going to be a case of not enough footballs to go around between throwing the ball and running the ball.
Well, it's funny. I asked that exact question to Jackson Yankee before last season. I said, are there going to be enough footballs to go around because of all the weapons they had on offense? And he was like, well, I guess we'll find out, But it turns out that if you're winning, people aren't worried so much about how many numbers they're getting or touches or whatever. So they have some experience with this, and obviously the other thing is injuries can always throw a wrench into it. If someone goes down, that affects the game plan. Last year was a perfect example. I think everyone expected Tucker Kraft to touch the ball 100 times last year. Well, then he gets hurt the first game of the year. They kind of had to scramble to figure out what they were going to do. They're going to be in a similar situation this year in that run, pass, whatever they want to do, they've got more weapons than they know what to do with. That wide receiver, how many balls is Zach Hines going to get? He might not get as many as he'd like. But that's the reality of being on an offense like this. But again, winning cures all those issues. And when you've got Isaiah Davis and Amar Johnson and even Angel Johnson, to start within the backfield with that offensive line, I like the fact that that's sort of their bread and butter. Run the football and then open things up when you need to. They've got the weapons to do it.